Good morning. It is 8:58 a.m. and we're going to start the docket. Mr. Garcia, are you ready to begin?
I am.
All right, thank you. We don't have a court reporter today. First, we were told that we had our regular court reporter. Then last minute, we were told it would be a virtual court reporter. Now there's no court reporter, so we're going to record this through Teams, and then we'll send the recording off for a verbatim transcript. So let's begin with case number 1. It is 24864 and 24865, Matador Production Company. Entries of appearance, please.
Morning, Mr. Hearing Officer Adam Rankin with the Santa Fe Office of Holland and Hart, appearing on behalf of the applicant in this case, Matador MRC Permian.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Miguel Suaza with Beatty and Wozniak, appearing on behalf of XTO Energy for monitoring purposes only.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Suazo.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. In these two cases, MRC Permian seeks an order pooling all uncommitted mineral interest owners. In case 24864, they seek a standard 320 acre, more or less, horizontal well spacing unit to be pooled in the Bone Spring, comprised of the west half of the east half of sections 11 and 14 in Township 17, Range 37 in Lee County, New Mexico. They'll dedicate that spacing unit initially to the Monica 133H well. In the next case, 24865, they seek an order pooling all uncommitted owners in a standard 640 acre horizontal spacing unit in the Wolfcamp formation that'll be comprised of the east half of sections 11 and 14 in the same township. And that will be dedicated to the Monica 203H well. For both cases, we filed on Thursday a set of exhibits A through F. A is the compulsory pooling checklist. B is the application filed in each case. C are the landman statements with the attachments. The landman in this case is Addison Costley. She has previously been sworn and recognized as an expert in petroleum land matters by the division. C1 is either C102s for each of the wells. The C2 is a land tract map showing the tracts that comprise each of the spacing units sought to be pooled. C3 is a list of the uncommitted interest owners by tract and on a unit-wide basis, identifying each of the owners they're seeking to pool. C4 is the sample well proposal letters and the AFE for each of the wells that they're proposing. And then C5 is the chronology of contacts, indicating that they have attempted to reach voluntary agreement with each of the parties they're seeking to pool. Exhibit D and the attachments are the geology statement of their geologist, Mr. Joshua Burris, who's previously testified before the division and has been accepted as an expert. His exhibits D1 through D3 are the geology exhibits showing that the acreage is suitable and appropriate for development by horizontal wells. Exhibit E and F are the notice exhibits. E is a statement of notice prepared by my law firm showing that we provided notice of the hearing and of the application to each of the parties being pooled, and also the affidavit of publication, which is dated September 24th, 2024, reflecting that it was timely published, identifying each of the parties by name who are sought to be pooled in both cases. At this time, Mr. Examiner, if there are no questions, I would move the admission of exhibits A through F and their attachments and ask that the cases both be taken under advisement.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. A couple questions before we get to the evidence. Would you give me a little bit of background on when these cases were originally scheduled for a hearing and how they got to today?
They were filed back in the end of last 2024. I believe there were some, forgive me, Mr. Examiner, because I don't recall off the top of my head the entire history, but there were some entries of appearance and objections. It was set for a contested hearing. The contested hearing was dropped after the parties reached agreement, and now it's free to go forward without objection, and so that's why we're here today.
So who was representing Fasken? I think they...
Miss Shaheen.
You didn't enter an appearance? I see. So you withdrew your appearance as well. Oh, okay. All right. So from my notes, the withdrawal of objection was on the day before the hearing, if I'm not mistaken. So did you file a pre-hearing statement?
I believe we did.
Okay. It's difficult to locate these things in our imaging systems. That's why I'm asking you. And I know was it Ms. Vance's case?
Originally, she was going to be presenting the case, correct?
I thought so. Okay. I think she filed on 4/9 now that I'm looking here. Okay. And then we had notice of revised exhibits. So this is the second revised exhibits, and that's what you're asking me to admit into evidence. Is it
Correct.
not?
Correct. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we did file revised exhibits yesterday, reflecting a more detailed breakdown of the interests on a track basis.
And those would affect exhibits C1 through C5?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Are there any objections? Not hearing any. Your admitted exhibits are admitted. I'm going to turn to Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia, questions on these two cases for either witness?
Just one question. I think Mr. Rankin's actually who I need to ask the question of since his law firm does notice.
Okay, perfect.
Mr. Rankin, just quick question. I did look at the exhibits, and since you guys filed them, is it correct to assume that notice is still proper? You guys didn't like add or change parties, you just updated numbers?
Correct.
Okay. That's all the questions I have then.
Can we take these two cases under advisement, Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Moving to case number 3 on our docket. This is Cimarex Energy 25091. Entries of appearance, please.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dina Bennett on behalf of Cimarex Energy Co. and Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado. And I would ask that these case 3 and 4 be combined for presentation.
Okay. Then I'm also calling 25259. Are there any other entries of appearance?
Good morning, Mr.
Yes, good
Hearing.
morning, Mr. Examiner. Miguel Swaza with Beatty and Wozniak on behalf of XTO Energy for monitoring purposes only.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hearing Officer Adam Rankin with the Senate Office of Pollen Hart appearing on behalf of ConocoPhillips Company in both cases, just monitoring at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett?
Mr.
Oh.
Examiner, Jim representing MRC Permian Company in both cases.
Thank you. And your position?
We're just here for observation. Thank you.
Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. These cases, in these cases, Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado seeks an order for the division approving a non-standard spacing unit and pooling all uncommitted interests. And these two cases are companion cases, as I mentioned. Case number 25091 involves the Wolfcamp formation, and case number 25259 involves the Bone Spring formation. And both cases cover a 1,280 acre, more or less, spacing unit comprised of sections 28 and 29 township, 23 South, range 29 East in Eddy County, New Mexico. And I originally filed the original cases in December of 2024, and MRC objected, and there was a contested case that was set, but MRC withdrew its objection, and that's how we're here today on a hearing by affidavit. I have 3 witnesses. We timely filed a pre-hearing statement and timely filed exhibits, and we have declarations from 3 witnesses. 2 have previously testified and 1 has not. So the 2 that have previously testified are Dylan Park, he's a landman, and Jenny Blake, who's the geologist. And just as an update, the geology exhibits were submitted by Mr. Cahill Keegan, and he is not available today. So Ms. Blake has reviewed his testimony and exhibits, and I have a few notes about that when I get to the geology exhibits.
So I have a question. So we have 3 witnesses, Mr. Park, Mr. Kelligan, and Mr. Well, I don't know if it's Mr. Golchenko.
Yeah. And Mr. Golchenko has not previously testified before the division. And so I provided a resume.
Perfect.
And it's included at page 87 of 120.
But which is the witness that's not here today that's in this list here?
Cahill
Okay.
Keegan, and he's been replaced by Jenny Blake.
Okay. And has Blake been qualified as an expert before this division?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Excellent. That's fine. So let's get Mr. Golchenko on the screen.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner.
Good morning. There you are. Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Would you, that's funny. You said you swear, but I didn't see your lips move. That's fascinating.
I swear.
There we go. I saw that. That's funny. You put your hand down. Thank you. Would you state and spell your name, because the court reporter is not here today and they'll have to do this from a recorded, so go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yuri Golchenko, Yury, first name, last name Golchenko.
Okay. And you're seeking to be recognized as an expert in what field before this division?
Reservoir engineer.
Reservoir engineer. All right. What does a reservoir engineer do?
Reservoir engineer does a variety of tasks in E&P development. We work on optimizing the development of the asset. We work on making sure that we maximize the shareholders' value and the company's cash flow profile, along with all the participants in the projects that we evaluate. We come up with the estimate of the ultimate resource recovery. We look at things like maximizing value through trades, through non-op opportunities, and things like that. And that's in a nutshell, but I could elaborate further if you have any questions.
I do. What education do you have that goes toward this expertise?
Yes, I attended Texas A&M, received the Bachelor of Science in Petroleum Engineering, along with a certificate in petroleum finance from the same institution.
When?
Graduated December 2020 with both degrees.
Okay, I think you said 2020.
That's correct.
Okay, and what work experience do you have toward this expertise?
So I actually started in the field back in 2014. So I've worked my way up. So a little bit of an unconventional path. I worked through every single discipline in the industry. So I worked through drilling, completions, production, facilities, water resources. At one point in my life, I was a roughneck on the drilling rig in South Texas. Then I worked as a reservoir engineer for ExxonMobil, EOG Resources, and currently with Coterra.
Okay, and what's your business title with Coterra?
Reservoir engineer.
Okay. Okay, from here on in, you are recognized as an expert in reservoir engineer. So thank you. Did you want to continue, Ms. Bennett?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So we include, as I mentioned, we timely filed exhibits, and each of our exhibit packets are the same. Exhibit A includes the compulsory pooling checklist, the application, and the usual suite of landman exhibits. Exhibit B includes the usual suite of geology exhibits. Exhibit C is different in this case, these two cases, because that's Mr. Golchenko's exhibits, which support the non-standard unit application portion of our applications. And then Exhibit D is my notice declaration and shows that notice was timely mailed on March 19th and April 8th and timely published on April 15th and March 25th. That's a brief summary of the exhibits. I do have a couple of introductory notes that I'd like to get on the record and see if they can help explain where we are today.
And I have a question for you
Sure.
on something you've already said. So the reservoir engineer his evidence supports the request for a non-standard unit. What's non-standard about this?
The units here, so the bone spring unit in particular is if Cimarex were seeking standard units, there would need to be 4 separate units because the building blocks are 40-acre tracts. And so instead of 4 separate units, they're seeking a single 1,280-acre unit. And that's non-standard. And
But the math you just said, it confuses me. You said if it were standard, it would be 4 40-acre building blocks, which is 160 acres. How do you go to 1,200?
sorry about that. The building blocks are 40 acres. So when you string those together, that would be 320 acres per unit. And so they would need 4 320-acre units as opposed to one single 1,280-acre unit for the
Thank you.
Bone Spring.
That clarifies.
And for the Wolf Camp, because this is the Purple Sage Wolf Camp, the building blocks are 320 acres. So they would, if this was two sets of standard units, would be 2 640-acre units as opposed to a single 1,280-acre unit.
I understand. And your notes are what?
First of all, when I filed this application, I filed it on behalf of Cimarex Energy Co. and rather than Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado, which does have a different O grid. And the operator is actually going to be Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado. And so I only realized this when preparing for the hearing. And as we explained in Mr. Park's affidavit or declaration, Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado is a subsidiary of Cimarex Energy Co. To make matters a little more confusing, Cimarex Energy Co. recently changed its name to Coterra Energy Operating. But in any event, these are related entities, all under the umbrella of Big Coterra, I'll call it. So we'd ask that Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado be named the operator of these units and wells, and that the orders be issued in the name of Cimarex Energy Co. of Colorado.
Let me check with Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia, any issue with that?
I do not have any issues with it.
Okay, Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. My next note is that in the landman's declaration, we referenced certain plats that show the difference between a standard and non-standard unit. And I actually included those in the reservoir engineer exhibits and not in the land exhibits. And so if the division wants me to prepare a revised set of exhibits for, well, I'm going to have to prepare a revised set of exhibits when I tell you the next thing. So I'll fix that in the next set of exhibits as well. And then the geology exhibits, as I mentioned, and declaration were prepared by Mr. Cahill Keegan, who wasn't available. And Ms. Blake has reviewed his testimony and exhibits, and she identified a few things that she would have characterized somewhat differently. They don't change the ultimate outcome of the case at all, but I wanted to briefly touch on those and let you know that I would be submitting a revised exhibit packet to address those items that she's identified. So if I could, I will briefly touch on those issues. And then if Mr. Garcia wants to ask Ms. Blake any questions, of course, she's available. So the first thing is that both of the geology declarations state that the preferred orientation in this area is north to south. That's actually a relic from a prior declaration. It was just a cut and paste issue. These wells are east-west wells, and the SH max in this area, which is the stress orientation, is amenable to either east-west or north-south. So that's the first.
What page are you on?
In case number 25091, it's page 74 at paragraph 9.
Of 120?
Yes,
74?
74 of 120.
And it's paragraph 9, you said?
Yes.
And so you're saying, just to go back for a moment, you're saying that your alternative geologist,
Mhm.
What is her name?
Jenny Blake.
Blake, reviewed the information and has come to a slightly different conclusion. That won't affect the outcome, but it's still a slightly different conclusion.
Yes, I'd say it's not a different conclusion, but it's a correction of some of the statements that are in the geology exhibits.
And are you showing me those now?
Yes, I am.
You are. And so what is the first one? It's on paragraph 4?
Paragraph 9
9.
on page 74.
Oh, and you're saying it's going to be east-west?
Yes.
Instead of north-south. So I'm trying to understand. This is an opinion of an expert, but you are. So then are you saying that Coterra prefers east-west?
Coterra and Ms. Blake can definitely testify to this, but Coterra, these wells are east-west.
Oh.
And the preferred orientation, and there is no preferred orientation in this area of Eddy County because of the way the stress orientation is. So
you're
either
saying-
orientation would work.
You're saying it says north-south because it was a copy and paste error.
Yes.
That's all you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What's next?
Next is in case number 25259, which is the Bone Spring case. And unfortunately for this one, I don't have the page number, so give me just a second here and I'll get those pages. But it's a very, there's 3 just typos in the declaration. and that is on page 75 of 134.
Wait, that's where you want me to go?
Yeah.
Page 75?
Mhm.
All right, hold on a second.
I can share my screen as well if that'd be
It's
useful.
okay. It's just I'm working with an iPad today.
Yeah.
I can't do most of the stuff I can do on a laptop. So it just takes more time.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm at page 75, you said?
Yes.
Okay, and what am I looking at?
So in paragraph 6 at the top, the second sentence or the third sentence, excuse me, says the contour interval used in this exhibit is 50 feet. The contour interval is actually 100 feet.
And your second expert found that error? Okay.
Yes. And then the same is in paragraph 7. It says the contour interval used in this exhibit is 25 feet. It's actually 50 feet.
Okay,
And then exhibit B5, in her opinion, the second bone spring and third bone spring have consistent thickness across the unit. So the paragraph 8 includes a statement that the second and third bone spring is relatively consistent with slight thinning to the west. And in her review, she concluded that she doesn't see the slight thinning to the west. So that we would just be striking those slight thinning to the west.
what I'm trying to figure out here is how important these changes are, because if you have to submit another exhibit packet, it's going to delay the case until the next docket. So I want to ask Mr. Garcia a question. Mr. Garcia, is that all your changes or is there more?
That's all my changes.
Okay. So Mr. Garcia, you heard Ms. Bennett, and I know you haven't had a chance to question the substitute geologist. Are those changes necessary, or can we still take this exhibit packet as it is and just make notation of those changes?
For consistency, it would be nice if the testimony matched the exhibit. The exhibit shows what they're talking about. It's the typed out testimony that just doesn't align with it.
Right.
I mean, so I think they should match.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go back. Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. And we can provide revised exhibits today. And hopefully not have to come back before the division just to revise the exhibits to match what's in, or the declaration to match what's in the exhibits. The last and final note I wanted to make is that in our bone spring application and compulsory pooling checklist, we identified 2 different pools and pool codes, and that's because Cimarex has been in contact with the division regarding the correct pool code, but it's my understanding that they haven't yet been informed of which is the correct pool code, so we've included both out of an abundance of caution.
What page is that on?
That is on page, in the compulsory pooling checklist, it's on page 3 of 134. Which is in case 25259.
Okay, I'm on page 3.
And
I see.
yes,
I see it. Does it start with the word Laguna?
it does.
Okay, I see it. Mr. Garcia, do you know which is the right pool code?
I would have to go look them up.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right, Ms. Bennett, where are we now?
With that, I would ask that the exhibits in both cases be taken in or admitted into the record, and these cases be taken under advisement.
Are there any objections? The exhibits are admitted.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, do you have questions for any of the witnesses?
No questions.
Well, then we don't have then we don't have testimony that doesn't match the exhibits. And if the exhibits are admitted into evidence, why do they need to be changed?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I am.
Oh, sorry. It's more for consistency. I mean, it's a public record. If we get calls from the public, which we do from time to time, we tend to get calls on things like this.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what we'll do is, since there are no questions, we didn't have any testimony. If you can submit a revised exhibit packet with the corrections that you've outlined, today, before the close of business, then we can take this case under advisement. If for some reason you can't, then we'll have to continue it to the next hearing by affidavit docket. Any other questions?
No, just a quick clarifying question. We have in the past routinely submitted exhibit packets with revisions and have not had to continue the cases. So is this going to be a new policy moving forward?
It's not a new policy. It's re-looking at the 2019 notice that was sent out to the parties about not being prepared to go forward. On our last docket, 62% of the cases were not prepared to go forward. We kept the record open for days to a week to 2 weeks so that we didn't have to come back to another hearing, but that's not going to work in the future. So exhibit packets have to be timely submitted, they have to be correct, so that we can take the case under advisement and so that the technical examiners can review in a timely fashion the evidence and pose questions as opposed to not. But these errors, and I'm not even sure that I would call these errors. I mean, I know that you had a separate expert that didn't agree with the first expert and had different opinion. And, ultimately the division is the expert that we're going to rely on. But as John said, he'd like to have these consistent. And so I defer to him in this case. And so.
May I ask one other follow-up question on
course.
process?
Of course.
If, for example, I learned about these, not if, I did learn about these yesterday, would the division's preference be that I submit a revised exhibit packet the day before rather than waiting? Okay.
By all means, but it doesn't mean that the division is going to have time to review the revised exhibit packet. So I guess it depends on how serious of an omission or correction or error it is. And we'll have to play that by ear. But yes, that would be the preference.
Okay. I was actually thinking that it would be easier to not have multiple exhibit packets. If, for example, today we arrived and Mr. Garcia had additional questions, then I would be filing a third exhibit packet. But I understand the process and I'll conform with that going forward. I appreciate it.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So we'll keep the record open for the rest of the day and then we'll take these cases under advisement. Anything further?
Nothing further. Thank you so much.
All right. Mr. Garcia, anything further on these two cases?
Nothing. You do have 2 pull codes. I may cross the incorrect pull code out if you have no issues with that.
That sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did Mr. Garcia say just now, because I didn't understand him, that you know now the correct pull code, or you're going to find the correct pull code?
He said that he will line out the incorrect pull code.
He will. So you don't have to worry about it.
That's my understanding.
I understand.
Thank you.
I just didn't hear it. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to case number 5. Let's see. This is 25182 Cimarex Energy of Colorado. Entry of appearance, please.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Ben Holliday on behalf of the applicant.
Good morning, Mr. Holliday.
Morning.
Is it Cimarex or Coterra, or what are we calling it today?
I want to say on the record, thank you to Mrs. Bennett for doing a lot of the heavy lifting. We have some of the similar issues in this case. This is Cimarex Energy Company of Colorado. That was the original applicant, and that is still who we would like to see on the order.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Holliday. Are there any other parties that have entered an appearance?
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Jordan Kessler on behalf of EOG Resources monitoring this case.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Adam Rankin with Holland Hart, appearing on behalf of MRC Permian Company.
And your status?
We'll be just monitoring, preserving rights for this case.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rankin. Is that it, Mr. Holliday? Are those the only other parties you know about?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
All right. You filed an amended exhibit packet, I think on 5/1. Then there was another amended exhibit packet. Am I right?
Yes, so this case was originally continued from the April docket to cure a notice concern with a group called CGI Working Interest Holdings.
Okay.
Our original amended exhibit packet included the updated notice and shows that the notice was sent timely for this hearing. Like the previous two cases, Ms. Blake is now the geologist on the Widgeon project in Eddy County, and she had a couple of, I would call them more like clerical changes that she wanted to see to the exhibit packet. So I went ahead, amended the exhibit packet, submitted that yesterday with a cover letter detailing all the changes that we made.
All right. I'm looking at the exhibit amendments that you filed yesterday. Which are they the C exhibits that she has come up with a different opinion?
The C exhibits, no, the C exhibits are the exhibits where we updated to show that notice was sent. The amendment was to paragraph 5 of the self-affirmed statement. We clarified that the original statement said third bone spring carb. We clarified that to show it's lower third bone spring carb. And then the original statement recited that the plat was on a 25, the subsea structure plat was on a 25-foot contour, and it's actually a 50-foot contour. So those were the two, I would call those clerical changes that we made.
But she didn't change the orientation of the wells?
Yes, sir. No, sir. No substantive changes to the development plan.
All right. Okay, so please proceed.
Okay. So to back up, in this case, Cimarex Energy Company of Colorado seeks to pool an interval of the Bone Spring Formation from 7,680 feet to the base of the Bone Spring. This is underlying a 960-acre standard horizontal spacing unit comprised of the east half of sections 23, 26, and 35 in Township 25 South, Range 26 East, Eddy County. I just mentioned that this case was originally on the April docket, but continued today to resolve the division's concern with notice to CGI Holdings. As you can see from, as we just discussed, C1 through C3, this notice was provided, and CGI has not entered an appearance in this case. So 25182 will be dedicated to the Widgeon 23, 26, 35 FedCom wells. This was a companion case with 25181. That was heard by affidavit in March, and we've already received our pooling order in that case. 25181 pulls the upper Bone Spring from the top of the formation to 7,680 feet, but only as to sections 23 and 26. 25181 excluded section 35 because there's existing development. So in 25182, case we're hearing today, we're looking to pull the east half of all three sections, 23, 26, and 35, from 7,680 feet to the base of the Bone Spring. Okay, so turn into the exhibits. We've provided self-affirmed statements of the landman Keaton Curtis and geologist Cahill Kelligan. Like in the previous case, Miss Jenny Blake has replaced Mr. Kelligan as the geologist responsible for this area. She's reviewed all the testimony, and the only changes she had were the ones we discussed to the self-affirmed statement. And both provide the standard suite of exhibits. And both Mr. Curtis and Mrs. Blake are available if the technical examiner has any questions. So with that, I would ask that if there are no questions, that the exhibits be admitted and that this case be taken under advisement.
Are there any objections? Your exhibits are admitted. Mr. Garcia?
No questions.
All right, your case is taken under advisement. Thank you for the amended exhibit packet. And we'll move on. We're off the record. moving on to number 6 on our list, it's 25193 BF Petroleum. And show appearance, please.
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Good morning, Technical Examiner Darren Savage with Aberdeen and Schill, appearing on behalf of VF Petroleum Incorporated.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dana Hardy with Hardy McLean on behalf of Permian Resources Operating, and we are monitoring.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Jordan Kessler on behalf of EOG Resources, also monitoring this case.
Mr. Examiner Adam Rankin with the Santa Fe Office of Hod and Hart, appearing on behalf of Apache Corporation, Concho Oil and Gas, COG Operating, and Marathon Oil Permian. Just monitoring this case.
You withdrew an objection?
I'm not yes, we did for Apache. That's true.
For Apache,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Savage?
Yes, this case covers all of Section 34, 35, and 36, Township 19 South, Range 27 East, Eddy County, New Mexico. The landman for this case is Jordan Shaw. He has testified before the division as an expert witness, and his credentials have been accepted as a matter of record. The geologist for the case, Stephen Burke, has also testified before the division as an expert witness, and his credentials have been accepted as a matter of record. Today, we also have VF's reservoir engineer, Jason Goss. Mr. Goss has not testified previously before the division and has provided a resume as Exhibit C1 for the division's review. Do you want to?
Is he with us now?
Yes.
Can you, Ms. Chance, would you put him on? Oh, there he is. Okay. Let's see. I can't see your name because, oh, is it Jason Goss?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I do see your name down there. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Great. Would you put your hand down? Would you state and spell your name for the record?
Jason Goss, Goss is my last name, and my first name is Jason.
Okay. And I already asked another reservoir engineer this morning, what does that job duty entail? So I'm not going to ask you the same question. Did you hear what he said earlier?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. What is your education that goes toward this expertise?
I graduated from the University of Texas in Austin in 2008. And I also am a registered professional engineer in the state of Texas. And I received that license in 2015.
Okay. And what work experience do you have that goes toward reservoir? I'm assuming you're asking to be qualified as a reservoir engineer. Yes,
sir. Along with operations and engineering manager for VF.
Okay. Mr. Savage, which expertise do you want me to qualify him in?
So VF is a smaller company, certainly reservoir engineer, but if he has drilling experience or other engineering experience, it'd be nice for him to be able to inform the OCD on those matters.
So we typically hear from landmen, geologists, reservoir engineers, petroleum geologists. What expertise, what title would that be?
May I ask? So, Mr. Goss, what other areas are you comfortable testifying to? What, drilling engineering, completion engineering?
Sure, both those I have experience in as well in Eddy and Lee County.
So we'd request that reservoir engineering, drilling, and completion would be a good suite for him.
Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time, though. You want me to take the time to do all three expertise?
No, not today.
Maybe. Okay, not today. Good. That's good.
Maybe if something that's like in a contested situation,
we'll deal with it then,
Mr.
Goss.
Right.
Let's just deal with your reservoir engineering background, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. You've already told me your education. What experience do you have as a reservoir engineer?
Okay, I began my career in West Texas in the Levelland area, working the Levelland unit for a small operator there. I was there for a few years. Since then, I've been in West Texas. I worked for Nadel and Gusman Permian, and then on to BC Operating, and then a disposal company called Delaware Energy, and BTA oil producers as well, and now VF.
Okay.
All in southeastern New Mexico.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt you while you were speaking, but what would be helpful to me is if you would tell me, what years, give me some dates, tell me what you did for those companies that goes toward reservoir engineering?
Cool. For most of those years, I've worked for small operators, and so the entire time I've always helped with calculating reserves, doing decline curve analysis, and helping the exploration department determine where best to drill wells.
Okay, Mr. Savage, did you say that you included his resume on a particular page?
That's correct. Page 114.
Let me get to it. Hold on. What'd you say, 114?
114 of the packet.
Okay, I don't have the right packet in front of me, so let me, I
I'm
thought I was
sorry.
looking at your,
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm obviously not in the right file. Hold on one second.
Okay.
All right, 25193, hold on. Mr. Goss, I just need a little bit more data, and instead of you're giving it to me this way, I'll just look it up, so it's okay.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. All right, so Mr. Savage, what page of 143?
114.
Oh, boy, all right. $114. Okay, here I am. So, Mr. Goss, I see on your resume, I guess it's 3 pages. So I see production engineer back in 09 for SK Rogers. I see drilling manager from 11 to 15. More drilling manager for BC in 16 and 17. VP of drilling for Delaware Energy in 17 to 22. Drilling engineer. So I see a lot of drilling engineer. How does a drilling engineer background give you the ability to, from what I understood from the other reservoir engineer this morning, I thought I understood what a reservoir engineer does. Maybe you should tell me what you think a reservoir engineer does.
Sure. What I've done in the past is reserves calculations for companies that I've worked at, deciding through decline curve analysis how much reserves are left and what is economic to drill. And I also, in my licensing, have also studied and looked at reservoir engineering quite extensively.
Mr. Savage, maybe I'm not asking the right questions. Can you ask some more questions so that I can get him qualified? I mean, as of now, I'll qualify him as a drilling engineer, but I don't think that's what you really want.
Oh, we would like the drilling engineer. That would be good to have him qualified as that.
Okay.
So
I mean, I think he's obviously qualified as a drilling engineer before this division. So
okay.
We have drilling engineer.
So, Mr. Goss, looking at your resume, I noticed you worked for SK Rogers as production engineer, and that looks like that deals with production. Does that fall into the area of reservoir engineer that you're describing?
Yes, it's not on my title, but I would say so. Where you see initiate performance studies, including but not limited to volumetric decline curve analysis and offset open hole logs for generating prospects, I would say that definitely.
Can you go through the job list that you provide during that tenure with SK Rogers and describe how you worked as a reservoir engineer in regard to that job list that you list?
I'm sorry, can you say it again? Did you ask me to provide the job list right now?
No. So on the SK Rogers Oil, on your stint with SK Rogers Oil as a production engineer, you have a job list below that denoting everything you did for SK Rogers. Could you go through that list and explain how you worked as a reservoir engineer in relation to what you describe on that list?
Yes, like I just talked about, the volumetrics, looking at logs and deciding reserves in place, doing the volumetric calculations, looking at the resistivity curve to determine oil in place, oil water saturations. Let's see here. To calculate decline rates and remaining reserves on potential acquisition prospects. And I did this for all the entire assets for the property tax evaluation every year as well. And our reserves and any kind of letter for a partner where we calculated potential reserves for a workover or for a drill well or for all the water flood properties that we had.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Savage. I get the point. Okay, so Mr. Goss, you're recognized not only as a drilling engineer, but you're recognized as a reservoir engineer before this division. So please continue, Mr. Savage.
Okay, thank you. In case 25193, VF Petroleum seeks an order pooling all uncommitted interests in the Bone Spring Formation underlying a non-standard 1,906.35 acre, more or less, spacing unit comprised of all of sections 35, 36, and 34. The unit will be dedicated to 8 initial wells. These are the Angel Ranch 36-34 FedCom wells. Orientation is lay down east to west, and well locations are standard. Mr. Shaw's exhibit includes his landman self-affirmed statement, C-102s, and ownership breakdown, the well proposal letter with AFEs, a chronology of contacts, a list of offset owners, and several additional exhibits for the division's benefit. I'd like to point out that the list A6, Exhibit A6, is a list of adjoining offset owners, and they were all provided notice of the non-standard unit. And VF asks that the division to include approval of the non-standard unit as part of today's hearing and evaluation of the case once it is taken under advisement. There was question whether or not we would do that as an administrative approval, but we decided to do it as part of the hearing. Mr. Burke's Exhibit B for this case includes its geology statement along with the standard suite of 5 geology exhibits that show potential for development as described in his statement. And I need to point out, I just found out this morning that Exhibit 4 of his exhibit, it needs some kind of slight correction on page 100. And Mr. Burke did send me the page to include to correct the matter, and he can address exactly what he's referring to because he is available. Do you want to do that right now, or do you want me to proceed?
Let's wait till
Okay.
you finish and you move for admission.
Okay. Mr. Goss has provided a statement providing a brief overview, highlighting certain engineering details, and makes himself available for any questions regarding engineering aspects of the development plan. Exhibit D provides a self-affirmed statement of notice for mailings and publication notice. Notice was timely mailed on February 20th, 2025, and timely published on February 22nd, 2025. Mr. Hearing Examiner, at this time, I request that Exhibits A, B, C, and D and all sub-exhibits be admitted into the record for this case, and the case be taken under advisement. Counsel and witnesses are available for questions.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Hearing none, your exhibits are admitted. Mr. Garcia, questions for the witnesses?
I have a few questions. I'm not really sure to address. They might be at Mr. Savage.
Mr. Savage.
I'm
Okay.
yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts straight. Mr. Savage, I guess where I'm being held up on is your original application and your notice to me don't really appear that you're asking for NSP. Therefore, I'm kind of questioning if notice was proper. The newspaper article kind of just says we're applying for compulsory pooling, and that's it. Your notice letters to people that you sent out, your law firm sent out, say compulsory pooling, and that says underlying an NSP, where typically these cases will say compulsory pooling and approval of the NSP. So I'm kind of being hung up there. And in addition to the NSP, normally you guys provide us an exhibit. I see your A6, but normally there's also an exhibit where it's like a bird's eye view of the wells looking down, and it's highlighted all the offset acreage with the parties' names listed so we could see how far out you noticed. And I don't see that either. So I guess I'm kind of hung up on if this case is even ready to be heard for a non-standard spacing unit.
I understand that. So in our original application, we did consider, we were thinking we'd do the NSP by administrative approval, and that's why we listed that in the application. the landman Jordan Shaw apparently had worked towards getting notice to the all the offset owners, and Exhibit A6 provides that list. And then in our Exhibit D on notice, we have a separate mailing list that we actually show consummation of those letters being sent, delivered. So everybody was noticed, and the landman provided a statement provided a paragraph in his statement where he describes what exactly he did and what we did to provide for the approval of the non-standard unit through the hearing. We did note that, if that is not possible, that we would pursue it by administrative approval, because we realized that at the initial outset, we were thinking of it in terms of administrative approval. So, we understand the question, and I was going to go up to the landman statement here and take a look exactly what we said on that. So paragraph number 7. So the unit is a non-standard spacing unit. VF has provided proper notice prior to this hearing to all offset owners adjoining the spacing unit in the satisfaction of the particular rule, and request approval of the non-standard spacing unit as part of the pooling. If the OCD finds they cannot approve the NSP pursuant to the hearing as requested, then VF will be seeking administrative approval. And then, a mention of Exhibit A6, and then also there is a confirmation of the mailings to the offset operators. All the offset operators all the way around the unit were adjoining the unit all the way around 360 were notified. So I guess, it looks to us that the rule was satisfied. I believe that the OCD would have an option to approve it, but it would be their discretion to do so, I believe.
Yeah. My current stance is I would prefer the NSP to go administratively. I'm not sure. The hearing examiner got me out on the legal process for this, but the compulsory pooling checklist currently calls out wanting the NSP, and I think that part would need to be removed from the checklist. You are going to need that track map of surrounding acreage and showing who owns it. Even if you go through the admin process, it's a required exhibit for both processes, hearing and admin.
Yes, that understood. Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Garcia, I'll come back to you in just a moment. Mr. Savage, you said that there was a supplemental exhibit by Mr. Shaw, was it?
Well, so Mr. Burke has a Exhibit 4 that needs to be placed into a revised or amended hearing packet.
Mr. Burke. Okay, and what are you revising?
He has a correction on there. I just got it this morning, so yeah. I was trying to look at it on my.
Is this Mr. Burke here?
Mr. Burke is available for, yes, that's correct.
Okay, are you Mike Burke?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Have you been recognized as an expert before this division?
Yes, sir, I have.
In what expertise?
As a petroleum geologist.
Okay. Petroleum geologist. What does a petroleum geologist do?
In my background, I've done every aspect of geological work associated with the oil and gas business, from planning well programs, developing prospects, calculating reserves if necessary, mapping of pay zones.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so Mr. Burke, I'm not sure I need to put you under oath yet. What are you trying to revise?
If you look on page 100.
Let me get there. I haven't got there yet. Hold on. It looks like a VF Exhibit B4.
Yes.
Okay, what am I looking at?
And the two rectangular depictions there. The first one is a wellbore view looking down the trajectory of the wellbore from west to east, and I've colored in where the well bores will be put is as far as their vertical zone, whether it's, and you can see on the top one, it's Bone Springs 2, which is the second Bone Springs sand, and Bone Springs 3. And then on the bottom one, that's a bird's eye view looking down on the same sections that are seen laterally in the one above. And I only colored in the centermost 2 paths for the wells. I should have colored in the entire thing, because when we're fully developed, we'll have a well bore in each of the lateral sections, and those 2 vertical sections, the second Bone Springs and the third Bone Springs. And then what I've submitted is it just changes the coloring of the lower diagram to where all of the sections are completely yellow. And if you could flip to the next one, you'll see that it'll have one location. This is a fully developed example, and each one of the other exhibits that follow it are each one of the individual wells and where they're located vertically and laterally. So that's what I left off. It was just a coloring error on my part on the very first one. It should have all been colored on the lower diagram.
I understand. Okay, so Mr. Garcia, you don't have any questions for any witness, is that right?
Correct.
All right. But we're having a problem with the NSP issue. You would prefer that Mr. Savage obtain that administratively instead of through the notice and hearing process.
If he wants the case to move forward today, alternatively, the case could be continued and notice redone. The admin process might just be easier for him.
Okay, Mr. Savage?
Well, we'll do it administratively.
Administratively.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you still need to correct or amend. I mean, this coloring issue, I'm not sure I don't know that that's critical, but Mr. Garcia would tell me that. But are there other issues that you need to correct?
No, that's it.
That would be it.
That would be it.
Mr. Garcia, do you need that to be corrected? That yellow?
I'm not too concerned about the gun barrel shows it.
Right.
I'll call it a gun barrel map.
Right. Okay.
The main thing would just be in the checklist. It says the NSP is requested in this pulling order.
How are you going to fix that, Mr. Savage?
We can do a revised hearing packet with a corrected checklist.
You can get that done today?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, if that's the only change you're making, because we don't care about the diagram on page 100 that Mr. Burke was discussing with me. I think everyone here understands how that should be all yellow and not just the middle part of it. So thank you, Mr. Burke. You're not there. Anyway. Okay, so if you can get that in today, then we'll take this case under advisement.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We're off the record in this case. Moving on now to Flat Creek Resources 25255. I believe we have one other 25256. Entries of appearance, please.
Sharon Shaheen from the Santa Fe office of Spencer Fain on behalf of Flat Creek.
Are there any other parties that you know of, Ms. Shaheen?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. It looks like this case was continued from the April 10 docket.
That is correct.
Why?
It was continued because we had proposed one of the wells as an alternative well, as alternatives, because there was an unleased BLM tract. And since then, we've learned that the BLM tract lease will be reinstated. And so we're prepared to tell the division which alternative we prefer.
Okay. All right. Why don't you proceed?
It may be helpful for me to take these two cases separately.
Okay, please.
Okay, in case number 25255, Flat Creek seeks to pool uncommitted interest owners in the Bone Spring in a non-standard 640-acre unit comprised of the north half of sections 22 and 23, Township 24 South, Range 26 East, and Eddy County. Flat Creek will be seeking administrative approval of the non-standard unit. In this unit, we propose to drill two 2-mile wells, the Jernigan BS FedCom number 1 and number 2. As we noted earlier, the number 1H was proposed in the alternative due to the unleased federal tract. Since then, we've learned that the lease will be reinstated, and we're therefore requesting that the 2-mile alternative for the 1H be approved. There is a depth severance at a stratigraphic equivalent of 8,062 feet as defined on the Baker Hughes gamma ray log of the Ringer Federal Com 4 well that is 300 feet above the top of the Wolfcamp Formation, which is at 8,362 feet. Flat Creek proposed to pool the entire Bone Spring so as not to strand the lower interval. Only one owner is solely in the lower interval. We do not seek to pool that owner in this proceeding. Flat Creek is in the process of negotiating a voluntary agreement with that owner. We've provided the usual exhibits. As you can see on the cover page, both the landman and the geologist, Mr. Gregory and Mr. Anderson, have been previously qualified as expert witnesses by the division. Notice was sent out, 2 letters, one on March 20th of 2025. That was followed by another letter on April 18th when we discovered 4 additional owners. Publication was timely. That was on March 27th and April 24th. With that, I would move for admission of exhibits A, B, and C and all sub-exhibits attached thereto, and ask that the division take this case under advisement. Of course, we're ready to answer any questions that you may have.
So we'll take the cases individually. Are there any objections? Your exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, questions?
I do. Sorry.
For which witness?
I think I'm gonna keep picking on the council today, if that's okay.
Okay, so not Mr. Gregory or Mr. Anderson, but you want to ask Ms. Shaheen. Go ahead.
Ms. Shaheen, sorry, I keep getting hung up today on cases. In case 25255, you have the depth severance 300 feet above the Wolfcamp, but you're compulsory pulling all of the Bone Springs, which would be crossing the depth severance. I guess I'm just curious if you could give me more detail or on reasoning we would approve that, because historically OCD's never issued an order that would cross the depth severance. Industry's always come to us with 2 separate cases, one above and one below the depth severance.
I don't know that I can answer that question. The most that I can tell you is that we thought it would be prudent to include the lower interval. And as I noted, we're in the process of negotiating a voluntary agreement with the owner in that interval, who is the sole, let me see if I can explain it. That entity, its only interest is in that lower interval. Everyone else has an interest in the entire interval. But I think Mr. Gregory is available to provide further insight if that would be helpful.
That would be helpful after, I believe, the examiner swears them in.
Mr. Gregory?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's get you on the camera. There you go. Would you please raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but truth?
Yes.
Would you state and spell your name for the record?
Mike Gregory, Mikegregory.
And you've been previously qualified as an expert in what field?
Landman.
Landman. Before this division?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, Mr. Garcia?
Did you hear the question I had asked Ms. Shaheen a second ago?
Yes, I did. I'll see if I can explain it a little bit better. There is this depth severance that exists, and maybe I will clarify that we We do in fact have a voluntary agreement in place with that other owner in how to handle the interest in a depth severed situation. That's why we're not seeking to pool them, because we already have a voluntary agreement. In addition, we are working on a trade where they will trade out of at least a majority of that interest. So the reason that we're not seeking to pool them and that we're seeking to pool the entire Bone Spring is on the one hand to not strand the interval, and on the other hand, because we already have a voluntary agreement and how to address the depth severance with them.
And so further question, the party that's below the depth severance, I'm not sure who that is, but say they own, I think your exhibit says something like 16%. Wouldn't that change the above party's interest? Because you took 16% out of the above interest. So wouldn't all interest be different across the depth severance? I guess is my next question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really, I think would impact our interest and their interest. So I think if you did blend it, then it would probably, our interest would probably be the only one impacted there, because everybody else owns the same interest throughout all the depths. And because Flat Creek and the other company are the only two companies that would be impacted, we have a voluntary agreement between our two companies on how to handle it.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all my questions for now, Mr. Examiner.
Okay. Then can we take this case under advisement, Mr. Garcia?
We can.
Okay, very good. Ms. Shaheen, your second case?
Thank you. In case number 25256, Flat Creek seeks to pull the Bone Spring down to the depth severance that we previously described. In a non-standard 640-acre unit comprised of the south half of sections 22 and 23 in Township 24 South, Range 26 East in Eddy County. The lower interval of the Bone Spring was previously pooled at the request of another operator, Civitas, in order number R-23612, case number 24713. Again, Flat Creek will seek administrative approval of the non-standard unit. Flat Creek proposes to drill 4 1.5-mile wells. Oh, excuse me, that's a mistake. 2 2-mile wells. The Jernigan BS Fedcom number 3 and number 4. Again, we have the usual exhibits, and Mr. Gregory and Mr. Anderson are again the landman and geologist, and were previously qualified as expert witnesses by the division. Notice went out by letters of March 20th and April 18th for the same reason. We discovered an additional 4 owners, and publication was on March 27th and April 24th. With that, I would move for admission of exhibits A, B, and C, and all sub-exhibits attached thereto, and ask that the division take case number 25256 under advisement.
Are there any objections? The exhibits are admitted. Mr. Garcia?
Machine, just to clarify, the depth severance issue doesn't exist in this case. An order is the reason there's the difference here.
There is a depth severance, and so we're on, and the lower interval was previously pooled, so we're only seeking to pool the Bone Spring down to the depth severance in this case.
Okay, no questions then.
All right, thank you, Mr. Garcia. This case is taken under advisement. We're off the record. In this case, let's go on to case number 9. This is Devon Energy. It looks like we have 2 cases from them, 25258, and I don't know if they're joined or not, but we have 25307. Entries of appearance, please.
Darren Savage with the Santa Fe office of Abity and Chill, appearing on behalf of applicant Devon Energy Production Company, LP, and yes, we'd like to do these together.
Go right ahead.
So, okay, these 2 cases cover lands in sections 2, 3, and 4, Township 22 South, Range 27 East. I'm sorry, there's other appearances.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Darren. Mr. Hearing Officer also appearing in this case on behalf of CUG Operating and Contra Oil and Gas is myself, Adam Rankin, with the Santa Fe office of Holland and Hart in both cases.
And what is your position?
Just appearing to preserve rights.
Thank you.
Mr. Examiner Jordan Kessler on behalf of EOG Resources, also preserving rights in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dina Bennett on behalf of Magnum Hunter, which is an affiliate of Coterra, and only monitoring these cases in both cases.
Mr. Savage?
Yes, my apologies on that. These cover sections 2, 3, and 4, Township 22 South, Range 27 East, Eddy County, New Mexico. The landman, Jake Norris, has testified previously before the division, and his credentials have been accepted as an expert in petroleum land matters. Likewise, the geologist, Joe Dixon, has testified previously before the division, and his credentials have been accepted as a matter of record for an expert witness. In case number 25258, Devin seeks an order pooling all uncommitted interests in the Purple Sage Wolfcamp Formation designated as a gas pool, underlying a standard 639.26 acre, more or less, spacing unit comprised of the north half of sections 3 and 4. The unit will be dedicated to the War Club 3-4 FedCom wells. Orientation of the wells and unit is lay down east to west, and the location of the wells is non-standard. Devin is applying administratively for approval of the unorthodox well locations. Mr. Norris's exhibits for this case include his landman self-affirmed statement, C-102s, and ownership breakdown, well proposal letter with AFEs and the chronology of contacts. Mr. Dixon's Exhibit B for this case includes his self-affirmed geology statement, along with his 5 geology exhibits. Exhibit C provides a self-affirmed statement of notice for mailings and publication notice. Notice was timely mailed on March 20th, 2025, and timely published on April 1st, 2025. In the next case, 25307, Devin seeks an order pooling all uncommitted interest in the Purple Sage Wolfcamp Formation, underlying a standard 480 acre, more or less, spacing unit comprised of the south half of Section 3 and the southwest quarter of Section 2. These units will also be dedicated to War Club 2-3 FedCom wells. The orientation of the wells and unit is lay down east to west, and the location of the wells is non-standard. And again, we'll be applying administratively for approval of the non-standard locations. Mr. Norris's Exhibit A, again, includes his suite of self-affirmed statements, C-102, ownership breakdown, well proposal with AFE, and chronology of contacts. And Mr. Dixon's Exhibit B for this case includes his self-affirmed statement along with his 5 geology exhibits. And Exhibit Z provides the self-affirmed statement of notice for mailings and publication. Notice was timely mailed on April 17th, 2025, and timely published on April 22nd, 2025. Mr. Hearing Examiner, at this time, I move that Exhibits A, B, and C, and all sub-exhibits be admitted into the record for these 2 cases, and that the cases be taken under advisement. Counsel and witnesses are available for questions. Thank you.
Are there any objections? Your exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia?
No questions.
All right, these 2 cases are taken under advisement. Thank you, Mr. Savage.
Thank you.
The record in these cases. All right, we're moving on to number 11, Spur Energy Partners, case number 25271. Entries, please.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dana Hardy with Hardy McLean on behalf of Spur, and there are no other parties in this
Perfect,
case.
thank you.
In this case, Spur seeks an order pooling all uncommitted interest in the Yeso Formation, underlying a 480 acre, more or less, standard horizontal spacing unit comprised of the south half of Section 16 and the southwest quarter of Section 15, Township 17 South, Range 28 East in Eddy County, and Spur will dedicate the unit to the Ghost 1615 State Com wells. Our exhibits include the self-affirmed statements of landman Scott Hartman and geologist Matthew Van Wee, both of whom have previously testified and been recognized as experts by the division in their respective fields. Mr. Hartman provides the standard land exhibits. The plat of tracts, ownership interests, and pool parties are identified in Exhibit A3. Mr. Van Wee provides a location map, subsea structure map, cross-section, gun barrel diagram, and a map of the existing well bores in the area. Exhibit C includes the notice exhibits. Our notice letter was timely sent on March 20th, 2025, and we timely published notice on March 25th, 2025. With that, unless there are questions, I request that the exhibits be admitted into the record and that the case be taken under advisement.
Are there any objections? Your exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia?
No questions.
Your case is taken under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Mewbourne Oil Company. It looks like we have 2 cases, number 25285 and 86. Entries, please.
Mr. Examiner, Jim Bruce representing Mewbourne.
Are there any other parties? That looks like Mr. Rankin is a
Good
party.
morning, Mr. Hearing Officer Adam Rankin with Santa Fe Office Pond Hart, appearing on behalf of COG operating in both cases, just observing and preserving rights.
Thank you. Mr. Bruce?
Yes, sir. Mr. Examiner, take the first case first. Mewburn seeks to force pool the Bone Spring for the entire Bone Spring formation underlying a well unit, non-standard well unit comprised of the east half of section 12, 20 south, 28 east, and all of sections 7 and 8, 20 south, 29 east, which is a non-standard unit. Approval of the non-standard unit is being sought administratively. Submitted as exhibits are Exhibit 1, the pooling checklist. Exhibit 2, the verified statement of Josh Anderson, who has previously been qualified by the division as a petroleum landman. Mewburn seeks to force pool initially to drill 3 third Bone Spring wells identified in the verified statement. The statement contains the usual exhibits. I would note that page 17, which is part of Exhibit 2B in Part 1 of the exhibit packages, at the top of that page gives all of the parties being pooled. About 20% of the well unit is still being pooled. Exhibit 3 is the affidavit of the geologist, Charles Gillespie, who has testified many, many times before the division as an expert petroleum geologist. The obviously his exhibit in this case covers the Bone Spring formation and the Wolfcamp formation. The usual exhibits are included. I would note that he addresses the well unit orientation, which is lay down, and Exhibit 3A, which is which is page 4 of Part 2 of the exhibit package, shows that all of the Wolfcamp and Bone Spring wells in this area are lay down wells. Notice was given per Exhibit 4 by certified mail. That notice was sent out March 19th, 2025, and therefore is timely. The next exhibit is the publication notice, which was done on March 27th, which again is timely. I would notice that originally about a dozen interest owners were notified, but Exhibit 2B shows that at this point only 6 of those interest owners are being pooled. And finally, Exhibit 6 is just the application and the proposed notice submitted to the division. And if you move on to the next case, it's virtually identical, except it deals with the Wolfcamp formation and the Wolfcamp wells being drilled in that non-standard unit. Again, both are non-standard units. And with that, I'd move the admission of Exhibits 1 through 6 in each of these cases.
Are there any objections? Mr. Bruce, your exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia?
No questions.
Perfect. These 2 cases are taken under advisement. Thank you, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you.
Moving now to Oxy USA 25287, number 14 on the docket.
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Officer. Adam Rankin with the Santa Fe Office of Holland and Hart, appearing on behalf of Oxy in this case.
Thank you. Do you know if there's any other parties?
I believe EOG entered appearance through Brad Fute and Sayers.
Mr. Examiner, this is Jordan Kessler with EOG Resources. That is correct. We did initially enter an appearance. We've resolved all issues with Oxy, so I don't know if Ms. Bradford is on the line, but if not, there she is. We've resolved any problems that we had with Oxy with this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bradford? What was, Mr. Rankin, what was Ms. Bradfeud's client's position?
I believe they had some questions just to confirm the nature of the application and confirm the locations. And so I believe that it was just understanding the basis for the injection and what exactly Oxy was seeking to do. I believe that those issues were resolved through discussions directly between the parties.
What was there I mean, I can't tell from Ms. Bradfeud, but was there, I can look at the imaging, was there an objection filed and withdrawn?
Mr. Examiner,
Yes.
if I may, no, there was no objection filed to this application. We entered an appearance to preserve our ability to file an objection at the time and to work with the Oxy technical team to resolve lingering technical questions that we had. We've since resolved those issues, and so there's no need for Ms. Bradfeud to question any witnesses or things of that nature.
So I'm just trying to understand the relationship between EOG and Ms. Bradfeud's client. Who is Ms. Bradfeud's client?
EOG.
Oh, you're both representing EOG.
That is correct. Mr.
Okay.
Examiner.
Oh, okay. This is the arrangement you were talking about earlier. I see. So you would know. Okay. So this is your client and you're, okay, very good. Mr. Rankin? I'm on board now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hearing Officer. In this case, Oxy seeks an order amending order number R22101A to expand the approved closed loop gas capture injection project area by including sections 27 and 34 in Township 22 South, Range 32 East, Lee County, to authorize 2 additional closed loop gas capture injection wells for intermittent temporary produced gas injection within the Bone Spring Formation, and to approve the requested authorized maximum allowable surface injection pressure of 1,300 PSI for the 2 additional wells. All other terms and provisions under order R22101A are proposed to remain unchanged. Mr. Hearing Officer, in this case, we filed last week in advance of the hearing a hearing exhibit packet that contains 3 exhibits. Exhibit A is the application that was filed in this case, along with the information required for approval of the proposed injection and expansion of the project area to include those 2 additional sections. Exhibit B is a notice affidavit reflecting that we provided notice of the application and hearing to all the affected parties within the surrounding acreage. And then Exhibit C is the affidavit of publication confirming that we provided notice as required by the division to each of those notice parties. Because this is a request to expand an existing project that had previously been presented to the division, it was dismissed or excluded from the order R22101A previously because there was a scrivener's error with respect to the definition or description of the legal acreage within the proposed expansion at that time. So that this additional acreage that we're seeking to include today was excluded from that order at that time. So therefore, we're coming back to hearing today to request by correctly describing that project area and requested expansion. We're coming back to the division today to seek authorization to include that acreage now under this under a new order. Previously, this acreage was subject to a closed loops gas capture order authorizing injection into the acreage that is sought to be included. One of the wells in particular was authorized for injection. That's the Taco Cat number 11H well was previously authorized for closed loop gas capture injection. We're now seeking to include an additional well, the 21H well, as part of the expansion. All the evidence and testimony that was required by the division to authorize the expansion was previously presented to the division under case numbers, 23427. And so we're asking at this time that the division would take administrative notice of the testimony and exhibits under that case that supports inclusion. And we also have Mr. Janacek available for questions. And if it's acceptable to the division, I would just offer him, have a short dialogue with him to substantiate what we're requesting to do today.
And I see that you're asking the division to dismiss an order. Do you mean to vacate it?
To the extent there's a difference, yes, to vacate. I believe it may be already been vacated. I'm not sure, but nevertheless, just to be clear, because this order that we're asking to be expanded would subsume the operations within that, that are previously authorized under that existing order, we would ask for it to be vacated.
So you're saying basically the two orders couldn't it coexist? It needs to be removed.
I think that would be most appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any objections to any of these exhibits? Not hearing any of the exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, are you the technical examiner for this case?
I am.
Okay. And you heard that Mr. Rankin would like to have a dialogue with Mr. Janacek. Do you have questions for Mr. Janacek or any witness?
I have no questions for this case.
You don't. Mr. Rankin, are you sure you want to go through that?
Well, I guess if I don't have to, then I don't think I will put Mr. Janacek through the misery.
Right.
Although I know he loves appearing before the division. But with our preference would be, Mr. Hearing Officer, would be to submit these exhibits, ask that the case be taken under advisement, and that the case be and the application be approved according to the request in the application.
And Mr. Garcia, any issues with vacating the order that they're asking?
I've consulted with Mr. McClure on this because he's the one that originally heard this case. He let me know that the original order was terminated due to time. So I don't know if it's a matter of worth discussion, really.
I didn't know that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rankin. We'll take this case under advisement. We're off the record. We are now moving on to Mewbourne Oil Company, case number 25289. It is number 15 on the docket. Entries, please.
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Officer Adam Rankin, appearing on behalf of the applicant in this case with the Santa Fe Office of Holland and Hart.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Jennifer Bradfute with Bradfute Sayer, appearing on behalf of Coterra Operating.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I apologize. My computer forced a restart right as you began the last case.
So we heard that case, and Ms. Kessler told us that, basically there were no objections and that the parties had resolved any differences. So we move forward with that case.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Apologies.
Thank you. What's your position on this case? I'm sorry, I forgot if you said.
We are monitoring and preserving our rights. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bradfute. Mr. Rankin?
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Officer. In this case, Mewbourne is seeking a non-standard 1,900, not sure that quite reads right, acre, more or less, horizontal wall spacing in the Bone Spring Formation underlying lots 1 through 4, and the south half, north half, and the south half of a regular section 5, Township 19 South, Range 36 East, and all of sections 29 and 32 in Township 18 South, Range 36 East in the County of New Mexico.
Mr. Rankin, before you go any further, there was a notice of revised exhibits submitted yesterday. So I just want to make sure that anything you refer to, you are referring to this revised exhibit packet.
Correct. Yeah, the revised exhibit packet was filed to reflect the addition of C-102s that have the surveyor's certifications.
Okay.
And also to reflect that Mewbourne is not seeking to force pool unleased state trust lands.
Okay.
Those were the only changes that were made to the packet. So filed last week, and the revised packets were filed exhibits A through F. Exhibit A is a copy of the compulsory pooling checklist identifying the elements necessary for pooling. Exhibit B is a copy of the application that was filed. C is a copy of the self-affirmed statement of Peyton Warren, who is a landman with Mewbourne, previously acknowledged as an expert in petroleum land matters, attached to her statement, or C1 through C4, which are the standard attachments for land exhibits. Exhibit D is a copy of the self-affirmed statement of Mr. Charles Crosby, geologist with Mewbourne, who has previously testified and been qualified as an expert in petroleum geology. Attached to his affidavit or statement are exhibits D1 through D3, which are the standard geological exhibits reflecting that the acreage is appropriate for development by horizontal wells. Exhibit E is a self-affirmed statement of our law firm reflecting that we provided notice as required by the division to each of the parties affected by this case and being sought to be pooled. Exhibit F is the affidavit of publication reflecting the same, that each party affected or being pooled in this case has been given notice constructively through the publication of the newspaper. Unless there are any questions, Mr. Examiner, we would ask that exhibits A through F be admitted to the record and that the case be taken under advisement.
Are there any objections? Not hearing any, your exhibits
No.
are admitted into evidence. Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Mr. Garcia, any questions for the witnesses?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Rankin, this case is taken under advisement. We're off the record. Okay, moving on to number 16 on our docket is a motion to amend or an application to amend order number R22838 filed by Permian Resources in case 25290. Entries, please.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dana Hardy with Hardy McLean on behalf of Permian Resources. And I would like to present these cases together, numbers 16, 17, and 18.
Thank you.
On the
So I'm
docket.
also calling 25291 and 25293.
Thank you. And there are no other parties.
Thank you. And the amendments, are they for more time?
No, they are to pool additional interest owners.
All three?
All three.
Okay, thank
Correct.
you. Please proceed.
Thank you. In these cases, Colgate seeks to pool additional interest and under the terms of order numbers R22838, 22840, and 22842. The orders pooled interest in the Bone Spring and Wolf Camp formations underlying the south half of sections 9 and 10, Township 20 South, Range 28 East, dedicated the units to the Koala Fedcom wells, and designated Permian Resources as operator of those wells. In these cases, only one party is being pooled, and it is a record title owner of a federal lease. Our exhibits include the self-affirmed statements of landman Ryan Curry, who has previously testified before the division and been recognized as an expert in petroleum land matters. Mr. Curry provides the referenced orders, the plat of tracts and ownership interests, the communitization agreement that was sent to the one record title owner who is being pooled, and a chronology of contacts with that record title owner. Exhibit B is the notice affidavit, which includes our letter sent on April 17th, 2025, and the postal delivery report. We also timely published on April 22nd, 2025. So with that, unless there are questions, I request that the exhibits be admitted and that these three cases be taken under advisement.
Thank you. Any objections? Your exhibits are admitted into evidence in all three cases. Mr. Garcia, questions on these three cases?
No questions.
These three cases are taken under advisement. Thank you, Ms. Hardy.
Thank you.
Moving on to Devon Energy, compulsory pooling case 25296. Answer your appearance, please. Are there any other parties that you know of? Please proceed.
Yes. Case 25296 covers lands in sections 22 and 27, Township 25 South, Range 32 East, Lee County, New Mexico. The landman, Ryan Clower, has testified previously before the division, and his credentials have been accepted as an expert witness in petroleum land matters. The geologist, Kate Houston Kennedy, has also testified previously before the division and has been accepted as an expert witness.
Mr. Savage, question: in your amended pre-hearing statement, the last sentence of the first paragraph, in order to clarify a certain matter regarding the Bone Spring formation.
Certain matters, that's correct.
Which says a certain matter, but if there's matters, that's fine too.
Certain matters. I have emailed previously Mr. Garcia and Mr. McClure on that matter, and I assume that they will bring it up when they find it appropriate to raise the question.
It just seemed very vague reading this for me. It was very vague. I didn't know about your emails.
It's needs some explanation.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, please proceed.
All right. Devon seeks orders pooling all uncommitted interest in the Bone Spring formation designated as an oil pool or oil pools underlying a standard 640 acre, more or less spacing units comprised of the west half of sections 22 and 27. The units will be dedicated to the Haflinger 22-27 Fedcom wells. Orientation of the wells and the units are stand-up, north to south, and the location of the wells is standard. Mr. Clower's Exhibit A includes his landman self-affirmed statement, C-102s, and ownership breakdown, well proposal letter with AFEs and the chronology of contacts. Ms. Houston Kennedy's Exhibit B for this case includes her self-affirmed geology statement, along with 4 geology exhibits showing the potential for development of the unit as described in her statement. Exhibit C provides self-affirmed statement of notice for mailings and publication notice. Notice was timely mailed on April 17th, 2025, and timely published on April 24th, 2025. We also have an existing order similar to the previous case. That was for the east half, west half, and we would ask that that be vacated and terminated upon issuance of the new pooling order for the west half.
So what order number is that?
That would be
Is that
R
22550?
R22550. That's correct, and that was in case 23119.
So which of your witnesses need to be qualified as experts?
They're both qualified. They're both have been admitted. They've both been admitted as.
It doesn't say that here.
In the what pre-hearing statement or?
Let me look.
It should say it in there. Each individual.
Both have been qualified?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, if you could let me know that when you're telling me who the witnesses are, it's helpful. So
Okay.
it makes it go faster. Okay, please proceed.
Well, so at this time, I move that exhibits A, B, and C and all sub-exhibits be admitted into the record for this case and the case be taken under advisement. Counsel and witnesses are available for questions.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Your exhibits in both cases are admitted into evidence. Actually, not both cases, one case. Did you say there was?
One case.
Okay, fine. In this case, 25296 is admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, questions?
No questions.
No questions. All right. So, Mr. Garcia, you saw the amended exhibit and the amended pre-hearing statement, and that helped clarify things for you?
I did, and yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you, Mr. Savage.
Thank you.
We're off the record in that case, and it's taken under advisement. We're moving on to Mewbourne Oil Company amendment to order number R23123. It's case number 25306. And I believe it stands on its own. Entry of appearance, please.
Morning, Mr. Hearing Officer Adam Rankin with the Santa Fe Office of Holland and Hart, appearing in behalf of Mewbourne in this case.
Thank you.
I'm not aware of any other parties that have entered an
Thank you.
appearance. Mr. Hearing Officer, in this case, Mewbourne seeks a 1-year extension of time for drilling its well under the order R23123 from March 28th, 2025 to March 28th, 2026, a 1-year extension. The unit's comprised of all sections 23 and 24 in Township 18 South, Range 31 East in Eddy County. Under that order, all uncommitted owners of a mineral interest were pooled in the Bone Spring and dedicated to the unit. There are 4 initial proposed wells. We filed in advance of this hearing several exhibits. Exhibit A is the application that was filed. Exhibit B is order number R23123 that we seek to amend. Exhibit C is the self-affirmed statement of Mewbourne's landman, Ariana Rodriguez. She's previously testified and qualified as an expert in petroleum land management before the division. Exhibit D is a self-affirmed statement of notice that we prepared in advance, indicating that we provided notice to all the parties who are subject to the pooling in the case. And then Exhibit E is the affidavit of publication reflecting that notice was provided by publication as well, identifying each of the parties by name. This is Mewbourne's first extension under this case. None of the working interest owners who have been pooled have been asked to make an election or pay their estimated share of costs. There are no ownership changes. Based on Ms. Ariana Rodriguez can also confirm this. At the time the application was filed, Mewbourne did not yet have a BLM permit, and so for its wells, they do now have one subsequent to the filing of this application. So they do now have a permit to drill, and but they didn't at the time. So that's the basis for their request for extension of time.
Thank you. Are there any objections? The exhibits are admitted into evidence. Do we have Ms. Rodriguez?
We do.
And while we're getting Ms. Rodriguez sworn in, Mr. Garcia, do you have any questions for the witness?
No questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Ms. Rodriguez, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Would you state and spell your name for the record?
Ariana Rodriguez, Ariana Rodriguez.
Okay, and Mr. Rodriguez, I'm looking at the self-affirmed statement that I assume you executed on May 1st?
Yes.
Okay. Would you explain paragraphs 5 and 6 to me?
Let me pull those up. So we originally filed this to extend this order. We had not received our APDs just yet, and we needed additional time to work with Oxy to get them under an operating agreement. So that's when we filed for the extension.
Okay, and it was a little, I didn't quite hear what you said. So you didn't get what in place in time?
We when we filed for this pooling, we didn't have our APDs just yet, and we needed to have additional time to get Oxy under an operating agreement.
Okay, and you said your APDs,
Or our
is that
permits.
right? I mean, I knew what APD meant. What I meant was, who are you asking for permission to drill from?
I believe it's a BLM.
You don't know,
It's all BLM land.
but you don't know?
I think it's all BLM land.
Okay. Are you saying yes, it's BLM?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you in the process?
We received our APDs about 2 weeks ago in April 24th. So
Okay.
after the expiration of the order.
Okay, perfect. All right. That's all. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Mr. Garcia, any follow-up to that?
No questions still.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you, Mr. Rankin. We'll take this case under advisement. Moving now to number 21 on the docket. This is Permian Resource. It looks like there are 3 cases, compulsory pooling cases, 2530809 and 10. Entry of appearance, please.
Good morning, Jackie McLean with Hardy McLean on behalf of Permian Resources. And we actually also have 25311 that we're asking to consolidate for hearing.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. 25311. Are there any other parties that you know of?
There are no other parties.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. And case numbers 25308, 25309, 25310, and 25311. Permian Resources seeks orders pooling sections 27 and 22 of Township 22 South, Range 35 East in Lee County. And these spacing units will be dedicated to the Bridge State wells. And with these applications, Permian Resources only seeks to pool uncommitted interest from the base of the first Bone Spring interval to the base of the second Bone Spring interval. The exhibit packets submitted for each case contain Exhibit A, the self-affirmed statement of Reagan Armstrong, who has been previously admitted to testify as an expert in petroleum land matters. Exhibit B, self-affirmed statement and corresponding exhibits of Chris Rudelhuber, who has also been previously admitted to testify as an expert in petroleum geology matters. And Exhibit C, notice testimony, which contains a copy of the notice letter which was sent on April 15th, 2025, and an affidavit of publication for April 18th, 2025. And with that, I ask that the exhibits submitted in case numbers 25308 through 25311 be admitted into the record and that the cases be taken under advisement.
Are there any objections? The exhibits in all 4 cases are received into evidence. Mr. Garcia?
No questions.
Perfect. All 4 cases are taken under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to case number 25, it looks like it is joined to case number 26 and 27. These are compulsory pooling applications for Tap Rock Operating. Entry of appearance, please.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Miguel Suazo appearing today on behalf of Tap Rock Operating LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Suazo. Are there any other parties that you know of?
Good
Good
morning,
morning, Mr. Examiner. Ben Holiday appearing on behalf of Powderhorn Operating and other
You said-
Powderhorn entities.
You said Powderhorn, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And what's your position today?
We're just monitoring. No objection at this time.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. EOG Resources, Inc. Is entering an appearance today just for monitoring these cases.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler.
And Adam Rankin appearing on behalf of COG Operating, Contra Oil and Gas. with the Office of Santa Fe, the Santa Fe Office of Paul and Hart, and we're just monitoring and preserving rights.
Thank you. Mr. Suazo?
Yes, Mr. Examiner, appearing today on behalf of the applicant, Taprock is requesting 2 applications to approve standard horizontal spacing units. In case number 25316, Taprock seeks to approve a 480 acre standard horizontal spacing unit comprised of the north half of sections 11, 12, Township 25 South, Range 25 East, and the north half of Section 7, Township 25 South, Range 26 East, comprised of the High Life Fedcom 151H well, and this well would produce in the Bone Spring Formation. And in case number 25314, Taprock also seeks a 400 acre standard horizontal spacing unit comprised of the north half of the south half of sections 11 and 12 of Township 25 South, Range 25 East, and the north half, south half of section 7, Township 25 South, Range 26 East. And that will include the High Life Fedcom 153H well, which will also produce from the Bone Spring Formation. For case number 25316, the exhibit pack was filed on May 2nd and contains the application, affidavits, and exhibits, and that goes for 25314 as well. Exhibit B of the application was filed on April 2nd, and the proposed notice of hearing was filed also on April 2nd for case 25316. Exhibit A is the application that was filed on April 2nd, and the proposed notice of hearing for 25314. Exhibit C is the affidavit of Taprock's land manager, Matt Phillips, who has previously testified before the division, and his qualifications have been accepted and made a matter of record. C1 is the general location map. C-2 contains the Form C102s. C-2 depicts the acreage comprising the standard horizontal spacing unit. C3 shows the plat identifying the ownership by tract. C4 sets forth the ownership of the parties being pooled and the nature of their interests. C5 contains a sample well proposal and AFE sent to each working interest owner. And C6 sets forth a chronology of contact with each of the owners Taprock seeks to pool. Exhibit D is the affidavit of Taprock's geology witness, Eli Denbeston. Mr. Denbeston has previously testified before the division, and his qualifications have been accepted and made a matter of record. Exhibit D1 is the base map. D2 is the subsea structure map. Mr. Denbeston states that the wells are representative of the area geology and there's no faulting, pinching, or other geologic impediments. Exhibit D3 is a cross-section prepared for the Bone Spring using the logs from the wells exhibited in Exhibit D2. D4 is the gun barrel diagram, and D5 shows the gross ISOPAC map. And Exhibit E finally is the notice affidavit showing the notice letters were mailed on April 15th, 2025 to the addresses of the interested parties. And with that, I'd like to request that these exhibits be admitted into the record and that these cases be taken under advisement, and counsel and witnesses are available for any questions.
Mr. Suazo, are you requesting that the exhibits that you originally filed be admitted into evidence, or the amended exhibit packet?
The amended exhibit packet.
Do you have an amended exhibit packet in all 3 cases, or just 1-4?
So we are just doing, we're just doing 25314 and 25316, and then we're going to do 25317 separately.
Okay. So I thought you were presenting all 3 cases at the same time. Was I wrong?
Yes, it's just 214 and 16. We only have an amended exhibit packet for 14. There was an issue with the C-102s, which we have amended, and 25316, the original exhibit packet should suffice.
Okay, so we were not presenting 25317 at this time.
That's right.
Okay. Are there any objections to the exhibits in these 2 cases? Not hearing any. Your amended exhibit. Well, I can't tell if there's an objection or not. I'll ask again, are there any objections to the exhibits in these 2 cases? Not hearing any. The amended exhibit packet and the original exhibit packet are admitted in 14 and 16 respectively. Mr. Garcia, are there any questions for the witnesses in these 2 cases?
No questions.
All right, these 2 cases are taken under advisement. Would you please present case 17?
Yes, Mr. Examiner. In case number 25317, Taprock seeks approval of a 1,283 acre, more or less, standard horizontal spacing of all of sections 3 and 4, Township 25 South, Range 25 East, comprised of the Beer 30 Fed, COM 202H, 204H, 211H, and 213H. And these wells are proposed to produce from the Wolfcamp Formation. The exhibit packet was filed on May 1st of this year and contains the application, affidavits, and exhibits. Exhibit B is the application that was filed on April 4th of this year, and the proposed notice of hearing filed on April 4th. Exhibit C is the affidavit of Taprock's land manager, Matt Phillips, who has previously testified before the division, and his qualifications have been accepted and made a matter of record. Exhibit C1 is the general location map. Exhibit C2 contains the Form C102s. C-2 depicts the acreage comprising the unit. C3 shows the plat identifying the ownership. C-4 sets forth the ownership of the parties being pooled. C-5 contains a sample well proposal and AFE sent to each working interest owner. And C6 sets forth a chronology of contact with each of the owners that Taprock seeks to pool. Exhibit D is Taprock's geology witness, Eli Beston, who has previously testified before the division, and his qualifications have been accepted and made a matter of record. His Exhibit D-1 is the base map showing the proposed Wolfcamp Formation spacing unit.
Mr. Suazo, let me interrupt you just for a moment. I'm looking at the table of contents so I can see which exhibits go with each witness. If you just want to abbreviate that and let me know that, the typical suite of exhibits. If there's something out of the ordinary, please let me know. But otherwise, I don't know that you need to read off the table of contents. I got it.
As you please, Mr. Examiner. So you can see Exhibit D-5, which concludes with the ISOPAC map. Exhibit E is the notice affidavit and notice letters, which were mailed on April 15th, 2025 to the interested parties. And with that, I'd like to request the exhibits be admitted into the record and that this case be taken under advisement. Counsel and witnesses are available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Suazo. Any objections?
Mr. Examiner, if I may, for clarity of record, enter my appearance in this case. Also, Jordan Kessler on behalf of EOG Resources monitoring this case.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. Mr. Suazo, you heard that Ms. Kessler entered an appearance in this case and is monitoring.
I did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. You're welcome.
Mr. Examiner, it's Ben Holiday. I'd also like to do the same. I thought these three were being called together originally. So appearing on behalf of Powderhorn Operating and related entities.
They were, Mr. Holiday, so thank you. And I got your entry of appearance. Appreciate it. Okay, are there any objections to the exhibits in this case? Not hearing any, your exhibits are admitted into evidence, Mr. Suazo. Mr. Garcia, questions in this case?
No questions.
Thank you. This case is taken under advisement. We're off the record. Let's move on to number 28 on our docket. It is 25318 Flat Creek.
Sharon Shaheen, Santa Fe office of Spencer Fain on behalf of Flat Creek. I don't believe there are any other parties.
Please proceed.
Thank you. In this case, Flat Creek seeks to pool the Bone Spring down to the stratigraphic equivalent of 8,062 feet as defined on the Baker Hughes gamma ray log of the Ringer Federal Com4 well. That is 300 feet above the top of the Wolfcamp Formation, which is at 8,362 feet in a 960 acre non-standard unit underlying section 34, township 24 south, 26 east, and the north half of section 3, 25 south, range 26 east in Eddy County. There is a depth severance down to that stratigraphic equivalent. Flat Creek will be seeking administrative approval of the non-standard unit. Flat Creek proposes to drill 4 1.5 mile wells, the bomb site BS FedCom number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Flat Creek seeks to pool all 4 wells in a non-standard spacing unit in order to construct and use common facilities in compliance with the regulatory requirements of the BLM. These wells were previously pooled in separate standard spacing units in order numbers R-23625, R-23626, R-23627, and R-23628 Flat Creek asks that these orders be vacated when an order is issued in this application. We have the usual exhibits as reflected in the index attached to the cover page. Notice went out by letter on April 17th of 2025 and was published on April 22nd, 2025. With that, I would ask that the exhibits A, B, and C and all the sub-exhibits attached thereto be admitted into the record, and if there are no questions, that this case be taken under advisement.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Not hearing any, or exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, questions?
No questions.
This case is taken under advisement. Thank you, Ms. Shaheen.
Thank you.
Moving on to Mewbourne Oil Company's case number 29 on our docket 25326. It's an amendment to order R 23299, and it looks like it's joined with 25327. Entry of appearance, please.
Mr. Examiner, Jim Bruce, representing Mewbourne Oil Company.
Thank you, sir.
I
There's also Mr. Bruce, there's also an amendment filed for Mewbourne at 25328. Is that your case as well?
No, just 326 and 327.
Okay. Are there any other parties that you know of, Mr. Bruce?
No, sir.
All right, please proceed.
Mr. Examiner, in case 25326, as you stated, Mewbourne seeks to pool additional interest under Order R 23299. The reason for the additional interest is when this was pooled, certain parties had agreed with Mewbourne to commit their interests. That was never fully accomplished, and so there are 4 small interest owners who are being force pooled in this case, and the exact same 4 interest owners in the second case. I've submitted Exhibit 1, the landman's affidavit, which contains the prior order and the tract ownership, etc. The usual exhibits. No geology is submitted because that was submitted with the original case. The affidavit of mailing shows that notice was sent out to all parties. There were multiple addresses for the parties. I did attach the green card showing that all parties did receive certified notice of the application as part of Exhibit 2, but also Exhibit 3, which was the publication timely filed, timely published affidavit of publication, published on April 24. So all parties were served actually and constructively, and then application, the application and proposed notice are submitted as Exhibit 4. The first case involved the north half of sections 8 and 9 of 20 South, 27 East. The second case is virtually identical. It involved the south half of sections 8 and 9, same township and range. Everything, the Wolf Camp Formation is involved in each case, and the exhibits submitted in the second case are virtually identical. The total interest being pooled is about 0.75%. And with that, I would move the admission of exhibits 1 through 4 and ask that the cases be taken under advisement.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Are there any objections? Your exhibits are admitted in both cases into evidence. Mr. Garcia, questions in these 2 cases?
No questions.
The cases are taken under advisement. Moving on now to case 31 on our docket. It is a Mewbourne Oil amendment to order R 23442. Entry of appearance, please.
Mr. Examiner, Dana Hardy with Hardy McLean on behalf of Mewbourne.
Thank you.
And Mr. Examiner, we filed a motion to dismiss this case yesterday because Mewbourne reached an agreement with the only additional party it was seeking to pull.
All right. Thank you. I didn't see that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So
we're off the record in that case. Moving on to number 32 on our docket. It is a Chevron USA compulsory pooling case, 25332.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dina Bennett on behalf of Chevron USA Inc., and there are no other parties that I'm aware of.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. In this case, Chevron seeks an order from the division pooling all uncommitted interests in the Wolfcamp Formation underlying a 1,920 acre, more or less standard horizontal spacing unit comprised of sections 8, 17, and 20, Township 23 South, Range 27 East in Eddy County, New Mexico. We timely filed our exhibits and pre-hearing statement. We submitted the declarations of 2 witnesses who previously testified before the division, and their credentials have been accepted as a matter of record. The first is Katie Halley, she's the landman, and Eric Surratt, the geologist. We've included the usual suite of exhibits. Exhibit A is the compulsory pooling checklist, the application, and the landman exhibits. Exhibit B is the usual suite of geology exhibits. Exhibit C is my notice declaration, and notice was timely mailed on April 15th and April 17th and timely published on April 22nd. I do have one quick note for the division, which is that in this case, there is a depth severance, and we've identified the depth severance in the land declaration and included that in the compulsory pooling checklist. And so Chevron, in both the land declaration and in the compulsory pooling checklist, is making clear that it is not seeking to pool above the depth severance, which is from the top of the wolf camp to 100 feet below the top of the wolf camp. And so that is in both the land declaration and in the compulsory pooling checklist. So with that, I would request that the division accept the exhibits in this case into the record, and happy to stand for any questions.
Are there any objections? The exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, questions in this case?
No questions.
This case is taken under advisement. Thank you, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you.
Moving on now to number 33 on the docket, which is joined with 34 on the docket. These are Admiral Permian Operating LLC compulsory pooling cases numbered 25335, 25336. But I think these have been moved.
They have been moved because there was an objection.
Are they your cases?
They are, yes.
Okay.
Dana Hardy of Hardy.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I see my note now. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to number 35 on the docket. This is Hillcorp Energy. There are several Hillcorp Energy cases. Let's go through all the numbers. They start with 25337, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Entries of appearance, please.
Mr. Hearing Officer Adam Rankin with the Santa Fe Office of Holland Hart, appearing on behalf of Hillcorp Energy Company in these cases. One point of order, Mr. Hearing Officer, is that case 25337 should be presented separately. It's a compulsory pooling case, whereas the others are involving separate issues with separate land involving downspacing for the Mesa Verde Formation.
Okay, so do you want to, first of all, are there any other parties that you know of?
Not that I know of.
All right, then why don't you present 25337 first?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. In this case, Hillcorp Energy Company seeks an order pooling all uncommitted mineral owners in a standard 798.27 more or less acre horizontal well spacing unit in the Mancos Formation up in San Juan County, New Mexico. The acreage will be initially dedicated to 2 horizontal wells. We filed in advance of the hearing on Thursday exhibits A through F, which are Exhibit A is the application filed in the case. Exhibit B is the compulsory pooling checklist identifying each of the elements necessary for pooling required by the division. Exhibit C is the self-affirmed statement of Mr. Robert Carlson. He's a landman with Hillcorp Energy Company. He's previously testified before the division, has been recognized as an expert in petroleum land matters. His attachments C1 through C5 are the standard attachments for compulsory pooling, including the C102, the AFE's well proposal, and the land tract showing each of the interests on a tract basis. Exhibit D is a statement of Mr. Russell Crouch. He's a geologist with Hillcorp Energy. He has not previously testified before the division. He is attached, therefore, as Exhibit D1, his resume, which outlines his expertise, education, and experience in petroleum geology. At this time, Mr. Hearing Officer, I would ask that the division recognize Mr. Crouch as an expert in petroleum geology. He's available also.
Mr. Crouch with us?
I believe he should be, yeah.
Mr. Crouch?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there you are. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Perfect. Would you state and spell, you can put your hand down. Would you state and spell your name for the record?
Russell Crouch, Russellcrouch.
And what field of expertise do you wish to be recognized as an expert before this division?
Geologist.
Perfect. I'm not looking at your resume. I'm just going to ask you some questions.
Sure.
What does a geologist do in your field?
I map the formations, design the wells, look at reservoir properties, and place the wells where we can most economically produce oil and gas.
I see. Okay, thank you. What education do you have toward that degree?
I had an undergrad degree in geology from Texas A&M Corpus Christi and a master's degree in geology from LSU.
And when did you achieve those?
2008 and 2010.
Okay, and what work have you done since then toward that expertise?
I spent some time at EOG in the Corpus Christi office, and then worked in Houston at a company called Link Energy for a couple of years, and then a couple of small independents, and then I've been at Hillcorp for the previous 6 years.
Okay, I understand. I appreciate the abbreviated summary, but could you give me some dates and some duties for each company?
Sure. So I was at EOG working in the South Texas area, mapping in mature fields, looking to identify untapped pay. Moved to Houston, went to Link Energy, worked mostly salt dome fields in Southeast Texas and East Texas, generating prospects, drilling wells, doing recompletes, and then a couple of small independent companies working salt dome fields, and then at Hillcorp, 3 years in the South Texas area, doing recompletes and drill wells, and then since the previous 3 years in the San Juan Basin in New Mexico and Colorado, more recompletes and drill wells.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crouch. I'm reviewing your resume, so I'm getting some dates from your resume to supplement what you just told me, and what I see allows me to qualify you as an expert in petroleum geology before this division. Mr. Rankin?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. Mr. Crouch provided his self-affirmed statement as Exhibit D. Exhibits D2 and D3 and D4 are the geologic exhibits showing that the acreage is suitable for, and the target is suitable for horizontal well development. Exhibit E and F are the notice exhibits reflecting that we provided notice to all the parties being pooled in this case, both by certified mail and also by construction notice through the publication in the newspaper. Mr. Hearing Officer, at this time, I would move admissions of exhibits A through F with the attachments to the record and ask that the case be taken under advisement. Counsel and witnesses are available for any questions the division may have.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Are there any objections? Your exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, any questions in this case?
No questions.
This case is taken under advisement. Do you want to present, Mr. Rankin, the rest of your cases in a consolidated manner?
I think that would be most efficient. There are some variations and differences, but they're all identified in the record and the testimony. Mr. Hearing Officer, do you want to call the cases and then
I'll call them again. I did call them, and you basically entered an appearance and said you wanted to present the first case by itself. So they have been called already.
Okay. So, Mr. Hearing Officer, in these cases, in each of these cases, Hillcorp seeks an order for an exception to the well density requirements of Rule 1B of the Special Rules and Regulations for the Blanco Mesa Verde Gas Pool. It's Pool Code 72319 in either the Rio Arriba County or San Juan County, depending on the case. To permit it to drill and complete 1 or 2 additional Mesa Verde vertical and or directional gas wells in each of the subject 320-acre spacing units. So for each case, there's a separate spacing unit, and Hillcorp is seeking authority to drill 1 or 2 additional Mesa Verde wells, depending on the case. For each application, we filed a separate set of exhibit packets. Exhibit A, each is the same. Exhibit A is an application that was filed with the division requesting the authorization. Exhibit B is a self-affirmed statement of Mr. Gatewood Brown. He's a landman with the division. With the Hill Corp. He has not previously testified. And Mr. Hearing Officer, Mr. Brown is with us today in the audience. So if you have questions to confirm his expertise, he's more than willing to step forward to the witness stand and review his expertise for you. He has not previously testified. Attached to his statement is Exhibit B1, which is his resume. And at this time, I will pause to allow you to confirm his qualifications.
Mr. Brown? Over here, please. Has Mr. Hill been previously qualified?
No, he hasn't yet either. And if you'd like to do them back to back, I think that's appropriate. Mr. Hill should be available on the screen. And his resume is attached as Exhibit C1 to his statement.
I see. Okay. So Mr. Brown and Mr. Hill, would you both raise your right hands, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
I do. Very good. Starting with you, Mr. Brown, would you state and spell your name?
Gatewood Brown, Gatewood Brown.
And which field of expertise do you wish to be qualified before this division?
Petroleum landman.
Petroleum landman. Okay. What education do you have? And please give me some dates. You probably heard what went on earlier. So just help me out with some dates and some specifics about your education first.
Absolutely. Graduated from Texas Tech Energy Commerce in 2014 and have now been with Hill Corp for 11 years and have been acting as a landman for that entire time.
What does a landman do?
Landman studies the ownership document subsurface, puts together ownership and approves title for projects that the technical staff want to do, as well as reviewing spacing orders, making sure that we're complying with everything, leasing projects, getting prospects drill ready, as well as putting together surface agreements so that we can go ahead and execute those projects as well.
Okay. And you've been with Hill Corp ever since you graduated from school?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so what is your title now with Hill Corp?
I'm a senior landman.
Okay, good. And what you said that a landman does, is that what you've been doing for all this time?
That is correct.
All right. So from here on in, you're qualified as a petroleum landman before this division. Mr. Hill, you heard what I asked Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
Would you tell me the same thing?
I graduated from the University of Texas with a degree in geosystems engineering and hydrogeology. It's the same school as the petroleum school. I've been practicing engineering.
Mr. Hill, excuse me, Mr. Hill. I need, just give me some dates so as you go through. So when did you graduate with that degree?
Graduated in 2011. I've been practicing for 14 years in reservoir engineering. I'm a registered professional engineer. And then as far as what a reservoir engineer does is he evaluates in-place volumes and recoveries and runs economics to decide whether it makes sense to drill, recomplete, or do workover projects based off the.
I think you froze.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, perfectly. Let me go at this a different way. Which field of expertise are you seeking to be qualified as an expert before this division?
Reservoir engineering.
Ah, okay, very good. So not geologist, but reservoir engineer. Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Rankin, do you have a geologist?
No, we don't.
Okay. I just want to make sure I know what I'm qualifying here. Okay. So reservoir engineer. Okay, good. You've told me what one does. And you've told me when you graduated in 2011. What have you been doing since 2011?
I've worked a number of assets on both the unconventional and the conventional side. I've evaluated in-place reserve volumes, forecasted recoveries and expected production, and run economics for wells, those sorts of things on a regular basis.
And you've been working with Hill Corp ever since you graduated?
No, I've worked for several different operators. I've worked for Hill Corp since January of 2024.
Ah, I see. Okay. What is your title now?
Reservoir engineer.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hill. You're qualified as an expert in reservoir engineering before this division from here on in. Mr. Rankin?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. So just to pick up where I left off, Mr. Gatewood Brown is a landman now qualified by the division as an expert in petroleum land matters. Attached to his self-affirmed statement, which identifies in each case the spacing units that are subject to the request for additional wells. B2 attached to his statements is a notice area map identifying each of the tracks offsetting their subject spacing units that require notice under the division's requirements. Exhibit B3 is a list of the affected parties that are included within those tracks to whom we provided notice. Exhibit C is the self-affirmed statement of Mr. Hill, who has just been qualified as a reservoir engineer before the division. His exhibits C2 through C6 provide in the analysis he conducted for each of the spacing units, identifying in order targeted reserves in each of the spacing units, the original gas in place, the cumulative gas produced, and the remaining recoverable gas that is being targeted. The final exhibit C6 is the volumetric analysis on a section basis, identifying in their opinion, and Mr. Hill's opinion, the volumes of gas that remain to be recovered and are being targeted by these additional drills. Exhibit D and E are the self-affirmed statement of notice that were prepared by us, our law firm, identifying each of the parties that were notified by certified mail, subject to each of these cases. And then Exhibit E is the affidavit of publication confirming that we've given notice by name to each of the parties in the publications, depending on the county, different counties, different papers. So each of those is provided to the division in those exhibits. This time, Mr. Hearing Officer, if there are no questions, I would move the admission of exhibits A through E and the attachments and ask that the cases all be taken under advisement.
Mr. Rankin, can you help me out with when the notice was mailed out in exhibit D?
Yeah.
Is that different for each case?
No, it should be all the same.
Okay.
April 18th.
April
was the date
18th.
it went
And
out.
that's timely?
Timely.
All right, very good. And when was the affidavit of publication?
Let me just double check for each one. So for the which paper is that? So for the Rio Reba paper, it was published on April 24th.
Mhm.
And for the other paper, it was published on April 30th.
Perfect, thank you. And April 30th is timely?
10 business days?
I'm asking you.
I believe that's true. Yes, it is timely. No, that was the date it was sworn. I apologize. They have a different format for their. (423). I apologize. It's a different format. I had to read through it. It was published on 423, which would be timely.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Okay, are there any objections to the exhibits in these? Let's see, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases. Is that right, Mr. Rankin? 5 cases?
Correct.
Okay, in these 5 cases? Not hearing any, the exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, will you have any questions for these witnesses?
I have a few questions and hopefully I can do a panel format because I'm
That'd
not
be
sure
good.
who they'll be addressed.
I'll ask Mr. Rankin, is that permissible, Mr. Rankin?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and so what he means, Mr. Hill and Mr. Brown, is that he's going to ask the question to you two as a panel, but if one of you wants to take the question, that's fine. Just say what your name is for the record, because we don't have a live court reporter today, so that we know who's answering the question and then give your answer. But what I'd like to do, Mr. Garcia, before you answer the question, is I'd like to take a very quick 5-minute break and then come back for your questions. Thank you. We're off the record. We are back on the record. It is 11:21 a.m. And we are going to questions from Mr. Garcia and for Mr. Brown and Mr. Hill. They're going to be questioned as a panel. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you. First question I have is looking at your guys' exhibit B2 in all the cases. It shows that you guys have 4 existing wells, and then in each respective case, it shows the new well or wells you're adding. My question comes is, in this area, do you guys have other wells that aren't shown here?
I'll take that one. I believe you're Gatewood Brown.
Thank you.
From a landman capacity. I believe what you're likely pointing towards are wells that have been recompleted to the Mesa Verde that are not included on this map. The Exhibit
Correct.
B2s include all of the drilled Mesa Verde wells.
Okay. Do you guys have recompleted wells in the area though, as well?
There will be a few, but not enough to where, I guess I should have indicated these on the map, not enough to where we will have a full 8, more than 8.
And I guess my question really boils down to is I'm reading the old order it's in your exhibits, the snippet you took, and basically it says well density, you're allowed 4 vertical or directional wells, and then it says in addition you can have 4 recomplete, and then again the third paragraph says however no more than 4 wells can be within, where's it at, within either quarter section. And so I guess my main question is, are you guys compliant with those 3 paragraphs, the drills, the recomplete, and the density and within the quarter?
Gatewood Brown, yes, we will be in compliance.
Okay. With the addition of these new wells as well?
Gatewood Brown, yes, that's correct.
Okay. My next question is, and it might be more a statement. In Exhibit C2, you have some bullet points, and in there it says these wells will commingle Mesa Verde, Dakota, and Gallup, which will be a trimingle. And I guess my question is Hillcorp aware that this order that you guys are seeking before us will not address any trimingle issues? You will have to take those administratively and get approval of those prior to production of these wells?
Marcus Hill, if you're referring to the DHC process, we are aware of that. And is that what you're referring to?
Correct, yes.
Yes, we upon, acceptance of this, we will file DHC permitting as necessary for approvals for those zones.
Okay. And then I believe my last question is, because these are trimingling with the Dakota and Gallup, I do not have these pools memorized in this area. This order will not address any spacing issues in the other 2 formations, so that would also have to be sought in a different fashion if it arises. I want to say the Dakota is an 80-acre spacing, but again, I don't have those memorized, so you may need to pursue spacing requirements for those as well as needed.
Gatewood Brown, thanks for the point of information, and we agree. And there will be some of these that do require that.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's aware, because sometimes the cases look like you guys are asking for more information, and I just want to make sure we're only approving the density, the exception under this order is what we're doing here. And I believe that is all my questions, Mr. Examiner.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, Mr. Rankin and Mr. Hill and Mr. Brown. This case will be taken under advisement. We're now moved to number 41 on our docket. It looks like there are 3 cases for Coterra Energy 253, 44, 45, and 46. Entries of appearance, please.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Dina Bennett on behalf of Coterra Energy Operating.
Good morning. Any other parties that you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Officer. Adam Rankin with the Santa Fe Office of Holland and Hart, appearing on behalf of COG Operating in case number 25344 and 45.
What is your position?
We're observing and preserving rights.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And these 3 cases are companion cases, and there are 2 Bone Spring cases. Those are case numbers 25344 and 25345, and then 1 Wolf Camp case, which is case number 25346. And together, these cases are seeking to pool uncommitted interests in acreage that covers the west half of sections 29 and 32, Township 25 South, Range 27 East in Eddy County, New Mexico. We timely filed our pre-hearing statement and exhibits. Exhibit A is the compulsory pooling checklist application and usual suite of landman exhibits. Exhibit B is the geology declaration and usual suite of geology exhibits. As I mentioned before, these exhibits were prepared by Cahill Kelligan, and he's not available to testify today, but Ms. Blake has reviewed the declarations and exhibits and does not find any typographical errors, anything in those exhibits. Exhibit C is my notice declaration, and notice was timely mailed on April 15th and timely published on April 19th. And I just had two quick notes about the two Bone Spring cases, which again are case numbers 25344 and 25345. So as Mr. Rankin indicated, COG entered its appearance in both cases, but I inadvertently left their name off of the compulsory pooling checklist in 25344. So I'm happy to update the compulsory pooling checklist and file that revised exhibit packet today if the division feels that that's necessary.
Which exhibit would be revised?
It would be Exhibit A in case number 25344, and it's page number 3 of 49.
Okay, so A being the checklist itself.
Yes,
Oh, so
yes.
You'd revise the checklist to either add or remove.
To add COG.
COG.
Right now, there is a cell for entries of appearances, and I inadvertently left none in that compulsory pooling checklist when in fact COG has entered an appearance.
Let me ask Mr. Garcia, is that something you'd want changed?
I think since Mr. Rankin entered it on the record and we had the transcripts, I don't think it's necessary, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Do you, Miss Bennett, you've heard Mr. Garcia's opinion that it doesn't need to be modified. Are you okay with that?
I am.
Okay, fine. Mr. Rankin, just so that I understand what's going on here, you've entered an appearance. How does that translate to the checklist? I'm confused.
There's an entry in one of the fields for parties who are applicants to identify anybody who has appeared in the case.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
I think the record speaks for itself.
Thank you. Yeah. I didn't know whether there was an interest that needed to be pooled or not. I didn't understand what that meant, but I understand now. Was there some other note that you wanted to discuss?
Yes.
What?
There is a depth severance in the Bone Spring formation, and we addressed, by we, I mean the landman in this case, Keaton Curtis, addressed the depth severance. He described it in his land declaration and included it. We included the same description in the compulsory pooling checklist. And the depth severance is at 7,745 feet in section 29. And as a result, Coterra is not seeking to pool any interest in the Bone Spring at 7,745 feet or above. And we've made that clear in the declaration and in the compulsory pooling checklist for the Bone Spring cases. And with that, I would ask that the cases be taken under that the exhibits in the cases be admitted into the record and that the cases be taken under advisement. And I and the witnesses are available for any questions the division may have.
All right, thank you. Are there any objections? No. The exhibits are admitted in all three cases into evidence. Mr. Garcia, your questions?
No questions.
These three cases are taken under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, final case of the day, Mewbourne Oil Company, number 44 in our docket, 25370.
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. I get to be the bookend today, first and last. In this case, Mewbourne is seeking an order approving a non-standard 640 acre, more or less, overlapping horizontal wall spacing unit in the Bone Spring Formation within Section 1, Township 19 South, Range 30 East, and also irregular Section 6, Township 19 South, Range 31 East in Eddy County, and pooling all uncommitted mineral owners in that acreage. We filed in advance of the hearing exhibits A through F. Exhibit A is the compulsory pooling checklist identifying each of the elements required for compulsory pooling, the pool, the acreage, and the wells. Exhibit B is the application filed in the case. C is the self-affirmed statement of Mr. Brock Dixon. He's the landman for Mewburn. He's previously testified before the division and has been accepted as an expert in petroleum land matters. His exhibits C1 through C5 are the standard attachments for compulsory pooling by a landman. Includes the C102s, the tracts, the working interest that's being sought to be pooled, the compulsory, the AFEs and well proposal letters, and then the chronology of contacts. Exhibit D is a self-affirmed statement of Mr. Justin Roeder. He's a petroleum geologist with Mewburn and has previously testified before the division. His exhibits D1 through D3 are the standard geology exhibits showing the acreage and the target zone is suitable for development by horizontal wells. And exhibit E and F are the notice exhibits reflecting that we have provided notice by certified mail to each of the parties that are sought to be pooled and the offsets for the non-standard acreage. Exhibit F is the affidavit of publication showing that notice was timely published in the newspaper, identifying each of the parties by name who are affected by the application and being subject to pooling. If there are no questions, Mr. Hearing Officer, I would move the admissions of A through F and ask that this case be taken under advisement by the.
Are there any objections? Not hearing any, the exhibits are admitted into evidence. Mr. Garcia, questions?
No questions.
Case is taken under advisement. Thank you. That concludes our business today. We're off the record.